Today, my destination is 23 miles north of downtown Los Angeles, deep in the heart of the San Gabriel Mountains. Here, at 6,500 feet, surrounded by the rugged terrain of the Angeles National Forest, sits Mount Gleason. And Mount Gleason has a fascinating past. From 1955 to 1974, Mount Gleason was the location of an Army missile installation. And for most of those years, the missiles carried 20-kiloton nuclear warheads. Yeah, neighbor Mike and I decide we need to check this place out.
Here, you got some reading to do.
Our journey begins at the mouth of Big Tujunga Canyon, winding 21 miles up into the Angeles National Forest, to Mill Creek Summit. We park and unload our bikes at the gated entrance to Mount Gleason Road. The road is paved, but has been closed to vehicles since a forest fire burned the area in 2009. With fog and rain moving in, we pedal the 6.5 miles towards the former missile site.
About 2.5 miles to go.
The Mount Gleason site was one of 4 Nike missile sites within the Angeles National Forest. And these were part of a network of 16 sites defending the city of Los Angeles from nuclear attack. This was called the Ring of Steel. Okay, I think it's time for a little Nike missile history. At the end of World War II, the U.S. military needed a weapon to defend the homeland against the new threat of high-speed, high-altitude, jet-powered aircraft.
Research and development work to assure that the United States retains leadership.
And so, beginning in 1945, Western Electric's Bell Laboratories developed the Nike missile program for the Army.
Nike is a supersonic, liquid-fueled anti-aircraft missile. It's approximately 20 feet long.
In Greek mythology, Nike is the winged goddess of victory.
At the launching area, automatic elevators raise these giant needles of destruction from underground concrete boxes to vertical firing position.
In 1951, the first version of the Nike missile, called the Ajax, successfully destroyed a B-17 bomber.
See, I have directed prompt action to accelerate our entire missile program.
And within just a few years, some 265 Nike Ajax missile batteries were installed throughout the entire United States. These batteries were the last line of defense against a Russian attack. The threat of all-out nuclear war was very real.
If we are to keep the peace, we need an invulnerable missile force, powerful enough to deter any aggressor from even threatening an attack that he would know could not destroy enough of our own forces to prevent his own destruction.
From 1958 and into the 1960s, many of the installations were upgraded to the new Nike Hercules Missile.
Nike Hercules, which is replacing the Nike Ajax.
The Hercules could be armed with a 20-kiloton nuclear warhead, capable of destroying entire formations of bombers or ICBMs. The idea was that the shockwave from the explosion would obliterate everything within its proximity.
This intercept, altitude above 60,000 feet, target speed in excess of 1,500 miles per hour.
But during the nuclear arms race, technology improved quickly, and by the end of the 1960s, the Nike sites were already being phased out.
That'll give you a sense of the fog. You barely make out the top. You can't see anything. You think the road is around here somewhere?
In 1974, the Mount Gleason site was decommissioned and the property returned to the Forest Service. Then, from 1979 to 2009, the site was converted to a Los Angeles County Prison Fire Camp, number 16. This camp was part of a program that trained prison inmates to fight wildfires. In late August of 2009, the massive station fire scorched the Angeles National Forest, consuming over 160,000 acres. And on August 30th, the fire turned towards the Mount Gleason Fire Camp. Out of the mist, we came across a memorial for 2 fallen firefighters. As the flames raced towards the camp, 2 of the camp's mentors, Los Angeles Fire Captain Ted Hall and engineer Arnie Canones, drove out alone in an attempt to slow the fire's advance by setting backfires. On their way back to camp, something happened out there in the thick smoke. Their truck plunged 800 feet down the canyon, killing both of them. By late afternoon, the fire had completely consumed camp number 16.
We just passed the memorial for the fallen firefighters. We're starting to see some structures, so we think we're getting pretty close.
While researching the Nike program, I found a lot of good information, great photos, and some excellent declassified documents. but I felt like I needed to learn a bit more about what the day-to-day was like at the Mount Gleason Nike site. So I did some more digging and was able to find a man by the name of Rick Eldridge.
Is this Rick?
Hey, it is Brian. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks.
And Rick was there.
He takes me outside and he points up to the mountain and he says, see that little white speck way up there on top of that mountain? That's Mount Gleason. That's where you're going.
Rick was stationed at LA-04 from 1970 to 1973.
And left in August of 73.
He was a Nike Hercules fire control radar mechanic.
So I learned how to repair the target tracking radar, target ranging radar, missile tracking radar, and computer.
Rick has a lot of information and some great stories about the site.
We had a few of our guys that were arrested. So I go home that night, and on the Johnny Carson show, he's talking about the marijuana raid at the nuclear base in Palmdale.
Nike Missile, it was a drug raid. And they accused 19 fellows who are out there with the nuclear warheads of smoking marijuana.
And then the cat was kind of out of the
Does that
bag.
give you a feeling of security? Huh? Hey man, what do you say we wipe out Barstow?
I think we found the site.
As soon as you come in the gate, on the left side was the headquarters building. So that's where the offices were. So the battery commander had an office there. The first sergeant's office was in there. We had a medic's office there.
The Mount Gleason site had 3 separate areas.
And then behind that was
The first area was the administrative area. This area contains the offices, Army barracks, mess hall, and a half dozen other storage and maintenance buildings.
It's so foggy you can barely see anything, so as you're riding along, all of a sudden the buildings just appear. Oh, I'm loving this.
Mike and I decided to cruise right through the administrative area, straight to the launch pad.
Which from my understanding is totally demolished, completely gone, nothing remains. But we're gonna go check it out anyway.
The second area was the launch pad, just beyond the administrative area. This is where the missiles were stored in underground magazines, raised to the surface, and launched.
It was a huge room underground, and it was called a magazine. And the missiles were stored in there, and they were very tight. I mean, you couldn't walk from one end to the other without ducking underneath the missiles.
This is what remains of the launch site. Because from the photographs, this is all concrete. Magazine Alpha. Coming up is Magazine Bravo and Magazine Catfish. They dug them up and replanted the area with trees. They're completely gone.
The third area was the Integrated Fire Command, or IFC. And this was located 2.5 miles above the administrative site, built directly on top of Mount Gleason. This area had 5 radars, responsible for tracking incoming threats and then guiding the Nike missiles to their target. Sadly, nothing remains of the IFC except for a water tank.
Now let's head back to the administrative area.
We didn't get called and have 4 or 5 days to respond to a threat. We had an hour to respond to any threat to the Los Angeles defense.
Out of bounds. Some sort of maintenance garage. Oh, that's a good sound. Did you hear that?
2 of us were always on what we referred to as hot status. That meant we had a predetermined amount of time to come up and be ready to launch our first missile.
Wow, look at this.
The B-52 wings that were stationed at the air bases around LA would actually fly attack patterns and try to attack different locations in the Los Angeles defense, and our job was to try to stop them.
Don't step on those up here. I hope your tetanus shot is up to date. I believe that was the missile maintenance shop right there. Cold and wet. That building over there, that looks like a good building to eat a sandwich in. Wow. Hello. Beans, rice, spaghetti sauce, tuna. It's supposed to be a food storage building. Time to eat a sandwich. We're gonna dry off a little bit, if that's even possible.
When most of the sites were closed, all of that documentation was classified. How we dealt with it was simply by destruction.
Figure 19. sequence of deactivation events. Number 20 is burn classified documents.
When we were finished with it, we burned it. I mean, it was gone. There was nothing left.
Okay, ready for this? This place is littered with nails. This must have been the mess hall, because there's like a barbecue area here. You see this little like cooking area? This makes me want to cook up some burgers right now. Still got fat on it from the last tasty burger meal. Oh man.
Primarily because of the war in Vietnam. People were nervous about a lot of things. People were nervous about being bombed by the Russians because they were constantly telling us, you know, we're going to destroy you.
We are in the main barracks building. There's no roof. That is clearly burned in the fire.
Most people in the country looked at them as lunatics.
Oh, look at this boiler.
Because everyone had this picture of Nikita Khrushchev pounding his shoe on a podium saying, I'm going to destroy you.
Asbestos insulation around a tank, probably a hot water tank.
We had a huge map of Southern California. There were red circles all over that map, and those were suspected targets. Sometimes it was paranoia, you know? It was kind of strange when you sit and really think about it. It was almost surreal.
Wow, check out this fireplace. The Blank.
We had a little tiny building we called the Blank, which was our NCO club. So you could stop in there on the afternoon after you got off work and have a beer.
The Blank was an area, according to Rick, that you could go after work and get a beer. So it's kind of cool. There's like an outdoor patio. There was a fireplace. I think it would only be apropos if we had a couple of beers in the Blank. Cheers in front of the Blank. Cheers.
On a clear day, which was very rare, but a few days in the winter, you could actually see the coast.
Did you see all these Gatorades that are still full? This is a 9-year-old Gatorade. That's starting to feel like real rain. Yep. Mike can't wait to bike 6 miles back in this rain. We are on our way out of here. Very spooky place.
Mike and I ride the 6.5 miles back to the car.
You can't see anything off the edge there.
It felt like we had just traveled back in time to a different era.
1.5 miles.
Growing up, I'd learned to see the 60s and early 70s as a time of peace and love, hippies, great music, civil rights, and Vietnam. But just beneath all that was this very real threat of total nuclear annihilation.
Oh man, I am wet and cold and happy to be back in the car.
This little journey is a great reminder that just out the front door is some amazing history worth remembering. I want to give a big thanks to Rick Eldridge. It was guys like him that allowed the rest of the country to go on with their day-to-day lives. Thank you for your service.